right, welcome to the podcast this week, everybody.
Hello, Mike Haight.
Hey, Josh Brady. Me, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Huh?
Yeah. Had a good weekend.
Great.
It was just me and the dog, though. My wife was out of town again. Again, people ask me, like, what's it like to be a grandfather? It's like, well, it's a lot like being a bachelor. Because she spent a lot of time down there with the baby, and, I'm here with the dog. So
You with the dog. Good man. We all do our part.
No, but it was good. And I got lots of FaceTime videos and lots of pictures, and so
There you go.
but yeah.
Fun.
But that's to answer
Awesome.
your question. I'm doing well.
That's good.
Yeah. How about you?
Good. Yeah. So we're digging out from moving people home from college. So that's what's I don't know what my house looks like anymore. Like it looks like a garage sale is what it
I
looks like.
experienced that for the first time, and
It's
difficult.
wild.
You're like, I don't have a place anymore.
Right,
Just
that's
stuff
right.
is everywhere, and it doesn't belong to me.
Like
Our
I-
house looks like that all the time.
Oh no.
From
no.
a kindergartner and a third grader who
Well-
throw their toys all over the house.
Yeah. Yeah, I could get that.
Yeah.
I get that.
All right,
I get
just making
that.
sure.
Yeah, yeah.
It doesn't ever end, I think, is what we're about to
houses?
say.
What are you talking about?
I mean, it's been crazy. But yeah, good to have folks back, sorta. They kind of came in, threw their stuff down, and left. So,
Yep.
But anyway, good weekend.
Michael, you and Josh, y'all had big weekends this weekend. With
We hung out with
graduating seniors.
9,000 of our closest friends in the Coliseum, apparently.
We
so,
did. It was packed
Yep.
and great and fast. They were
Yeah.
expeditious in their
They did not waste
graduating
any
abilities.
time.
I think 400 students, something close to that, and they graduated everybody in an hour and 9 minutes.
Well, I think they had like 4 different schools doing
I think they rented
graduations
out the building for one day. Madison County
Yeah.
did, and they said,
gonna
what,
make it happen.
We're going to make it
Roll
happen."
through.
Yeah, but it was great. They graduated. I heard both of our boys' names called, and they went off to a night to remember after, and had a great time. And everybody
Some had
returned.
more fun than others.
Okay,
so.
can we?
They did, and I saw somebody stage diving.
Yeah, you know.
See, I didn't know if we could bring that up here, but
Well, it's
I'm
here,
interested. So,
so-
yeah,
Who stage dove?
Krista did, my wife. And,
not a high school senior.
No,
Which
not a
I
high
wish.
school
Did
senior.
you get it on video?
Oh, it's on video.
It's on video.
Oh, I've gotta see
It's
it.
on social media.
Okay,
Yeah, so
I've got to check.
they got in 5 a.m. ish, and they both immediately went to bed. And so I got up like I normally do, probably 6:30, and so I was kind of milling around the house. And then Krista comes out like 9. I'm like, "What are you doing up?" And she's like, "I just can't sleep." So she gets a cup of coffee. We sit down. We start talking, and she's like, she's telling me about everything. She said, "And I stage dove," and I was like, "I'm sorry, what?" And so it was probably another hour. She's kind of telling me this. We're just catching up on a whole bunch of stuff. And Maggie, our daughter, comes downstairs and she goes, Why do I have messages from my friends with videos of you stage diving? And Krista just kind of chuckles. And then Eli appears around noon and he was like, That was the best night ever. Mom, you're awesome. and she just smiled. They're a lot alike. And they got in the moment, and apparently the band asked for a parent, and like all the parents immediately like took 10 steps back, and Krista was like, why not? And so she goes up there. She thought they were doing like a sing-along thing or whatever. They're like, we're going to stage dive. And she was like, oh, no. And so she pulls Eli up, and Eli, always the hype man, he gets up there, and he's like, you can do it. And so she does it, and Gideon's on the front row. Gideon's like, I got you, Miss Krista. I got you, Miss Krista. She was like, I know you do. I need some more football players in the middle there. More people to got me. Right there in the middle. So they had a really good time.
That's awesome.
It was a fun way to finish a high school career.
That's
so.
exactly right.
Wow,
That's good.
Very, very high note. It was great.
Wow, fantastic. Well, second week in Summer in the Psalms.
Yeah, it was great. I thought. I mean, I love the Psalms, and particularly this year, I think it's been a joy to reorient after some slogging through like a long track of John, and then doing some Ecclesiastes. Like it feels good to be a little bit lighter in kind of the stuff we're walking through. So yeah, I've enjoyed it.
They're not all going to feel pretty.
They're
light.
not all going to feel. And this one was kind of a hybrid, right? So you have some lament kind of right out the gate, or at least a cry of desperation, and then it gets a little bit brighter, which I think is beautiful, and it will be part of our discussion today. So how do you do that? Because a lot of our life is hard, And many of our days start with lament, but we want them to end better. And I think Psalm 16 is a very beautiful picture, or at least a path on how that can happen.
All right, so I think, Sean, it was you that mentioned that some see this as kind of a prophetic psalm.
Oh, yeah.
Can we talk about why?
Sure, yeah. So you have, particularly the end of the psalm is quoted both by Peter and then also Paul. And they refer to it to talk about how basically Jesus did not see decay. So that you will not give up my body or my soul to corruption or to Sheol. And so both Paul and Peter use this psalm and quote it to reference basically the resurrection of Christ. Right. And so I think that the thing is that when David writes this, though, he's not necessarily going, hey, I'm going to write something about Jesus, right? He's writing something that is going to become prophetic, that is going to speak of Christ and be fulfilled by him. But it is about David. It's about what he is believing that God is going to do for him. And so in the moment, and I think it paints, one of the things I think we can hold on to as we see those moments in the Psalms is it applies to the moment, but what you see is just a shadow of what's to come once again. So David, even though he says, hey, my soul, you're not going to give over my soul to corruption, we all know that David eventually dies and his body's going to sit in the ground and decay.
That's right.
And so, but with Jesus, that doesn't happen. Right. And so you see a complete fulfillment of this truth of what it looks like for a man to not taste corruption because of his life fully submitted, fully given over, keeping God before him in every way. So you have those two pieces of, I have a prophetic that is, yes, it can be about Jesus, but it's very applicable to what David is experiencing in the moment as well. So just a thing to hold on to as you walk through the Psalms, because there are others that do the same thing. So yeah, just something we walked through and just talked about a little bit yesterday, but interesting take on it. So.
It's beautiful how Jesus is the substance and everything else is the shadow.
That's right.
But we live in the shadow, or we live at least in, going back to Ecclesiastes, we live in the smoke. And so if you have this smoky existence, like, oh man, that kind of looks like something. And then there's something of substance, and Jesus is the substance of all things.
That's right.
So anything Old Testament that was truly life, at least on this side of eternity, like we could say, yeah, so when David writes, that's how life is going to be. But Jesus is the truer and better portion of this life. And so where it is true, our souls won't taste destruction or any kind of corruption, but Jesus is better that not only his soul won't do it, but his body also won't do it.
That's right.
Which is incredible. And so in every way that we are insufficient, Jesus is sufficient. Yeah. And I think that's what Paul and both Peter are getting at when they quote this song.
I think another thing too is like he's depending on a promise of God. Like
That's right.
we talked a little bit about context yesterday, that he's writing this more than likely when Saul is chasing him down, and Saul's after him to try to kill him. But David knows that the promise of God is that he would be king.
Yep.
And so he's holding on to that promise to saying that the Lord's not going to allow this to happen because the Lord's going to be faithful to his promises.
That's right.
And so he's holding on to who God is and the promise of God that it is going to be true.
That's right.
And despite what he's experiencing, what he's feeling, which takes us into kind of how we started yesterday.
How do you trust what you know more than what you feel?
That's right. So,
No, that's complicated, isn't it?
Indeed, sir.
I mean, yeah, but I think like in that, I even think about Abraham, and Isaac, and he knew that God had said, "Hey, out of you, there are going to be a lot of nations, and I'm going to bless you, and it's going to be through this son." And yet,
right?
It's like, but I want you to sacrifice him,
right?
Yeah.
Wait a minute, I can't reconcile those two things.
That's right.
And but trusting God in that anyway. I mean, yeah,
that's the call of the Christian life, right? So we walk by faith and not by sight, and a lot of times the sight is, I feel this. Like, I see that scary thing, therefore I'm scared. Or I know that scary thing's coming, so therefore I have some anxiety about it. And when we become people of faith, we can trust that even though it is scary and it's probably going to hurt, or maybe even it ends us on this side of eternity, but even still, we're not hurt because the Lord has us, and death is a doorway that even at the worst thing that could happen to us here, and I think there's even worse things in death. But let's assume for David's sake, when he says, "Man, like, you're going to keep me, you're going to keep me," how many people weren't kept? Right? So how many people have faced an ultimate demise, or at least it looked like, oh man, that was a tragedy that shouldn't have happened. Where's the justice in that? Well, God is good, and He holds the soul that was in the person before, and then will be after the person is gone. The Lord has got them, and I think that's the view that David has, or at least all the inspired writers of the Bible hold, that God has a plan. They may not understand it. It's like Sean said. I hold on to the promise. I don't know how you're going to deliver.
Right. That's right.
I legitimately don't know how you're going to deliver. Like I can't even put thoughts in my mind how you're going to deliver. This looks so impossible, but I trust it. And so whatever you want to do, God, I'm here for.
Yeah. And I think you see that, like, so if you read through the Psalms, you see this constant struggle of David dealing with those very emotions of going, like, where are you, God?
That's right.
Like, what are you doing?
That's
like,
right. How long will I cry?
Yeah. And so I think we think about this, we read this oftentimes, but we need to think about David was on the run for his life. He was living in caves. He was struggling, barely getting by. Think of it like at this point, he's not living in the palace. He doesn't have a place to lay his head. He is desperate on every front, just trying to stay alive. But he's holding on to. There's this promise of God.
It says the deeper things at the end, like, God, not only am I okay, but this life is great.
Yeah.
I am blessed. And I'm sure there were people looking like, dude,
like what?
What's wrong with you?
I see your life. What are you talking about?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But and so many of the Psalms are that way. That at least that David writes. They start out so desperate and
Honest.
Honest. And then it always seems to bring to come back to, but God, you're good, and you've got me, and
It's almost like you're watching his thought patterns. We get in our heads about stuff, and we're like, how horrible is this? Woe is me. And it's almost like he's just writing it down, and then once he gets it kind of all out, he's like, but here's what I know. I know God is good.
Yeah.
it is. It's almost like verbal processing.
Written down.
I've always wondered with the Psalms, how fast were they completed, right? So when you listen to, I don't know if you guys do this. I'm sure, Mike, you've done this. Maybe we do too. But like when you listen to songwriters tell stories about how they write songs, some of them are like, I sat down and it came to me in 4 minutes, and I wrote it on a napkin, and it's a #1 hit. And others would say, I wrestled with this whole song for years. Decades of my life, and now it's finally come through. I'm sure the Psalms were like both of those, right? There were some that probably came pretty quickly, and most that were probably in between, and some that were just excruciatingly long. But I wonder which ones were which.
Yeah.
Like I wish they had like a tab at the top. I wish McTam would tell us something about not only
written
sticking
within 10 minutes.
Yeah, written within 10 minutes. Like this was fast, or
Maybe
this
that's
one
what
was slow.
it does mean. No, it is, man.
Because when we get to, and we've done both of these before, like when you get to Psalm 10 or Psalm 13, like those are the deep and heavy. God, how long am I going to be depressed? How long does it feel like you're not even going to answer me? But then he ends with, but I know you are good and I trust you. Like I want that to be my prayer on a Tuesday. But I feel like that's David's prayer over 2 decades.
Sure.
And if that's the case, that's hard. Like that's hard to hear.
Right.
Like it's when my grandparents would tell me, "Hey, Josh, it'll get better." I'm like, "But when? When will it get today? Tomorrow?" Well, for me, it was 20 years. I hadn't been alive 20 years by the time they told me this. So, I wish the Psalms. If I'm asking for a rewrite or a re-edit to David and the Friends, I would like to know, how long did it take you to write that?
Just put that at the top of
How
each
fast?
one.
Yeah.
Just give me
How
a little-
fast did you? Is this one that goes faster? Is this one that goes slower? But I'm very thankful for. Regardless, perspective is key, and I think Psalm 16, as do all the Psalms, give us beautiful perspective.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think, and again, just to continue on this thread, we said, like in verse 6, he says, the lines have fallen for me in beautiful places. And, to have that kind of perspective when you're running for your life and I mean, that's pretty profound. And it's challenging, I think, for all of us who are, who are often find ourselves walking through difficult circumstances, and and how we might. I mean, if we're honest with ourselves, do we actually think that way, or can we actually say the same?
Yeah.
Some days. I think, and he gets to this in the psalm, but like if I am walking intentionally with the Lord and intentionally keeping out the things that are distracting to me, that I know are distracting to me, then I have a tendency to be more satisfied with the life that God has given to me. And then in the moments that I am least likely to set the Lord before my face, and I am most likely to run after, as Derek Webb, whatever you think about him, but Derek Webb had a line in a song in his house show album, we run after lovers less wild. And if we are running after those things, or those things that we think are going to deliver but never do, I tend to find myself incredibly discontented in this life, even in the good things, even in the godly blessings that he has bestowed. I'm like, man, but they have this, or man, can't this be better? It's so strange that it's certainly a perspective thing, but it is a choosing. So in a world where if you've heard me talk longer than 5 minutes about God, I believe in the sovereignty of God, that God has, before the foundations of the world, according to Psalm 139, has set our days before us, that he knows exactly what we are going to walk through. Even before we say a word, he knows what it's going to be. That being said, our lives of obedience matter. And what we do sets us up for faithful, joyful obedience or a sorrowful existence. And I think that's kind of the meat of this psalm, right? And the tension that David is calling for here is the people of God to remember, if you set God always before you, you are going to be joy-filled no matter the circumstances. If you do not, sorrow upon sorrow upon sorrow is waiting for you. We know that anecdotally because we have the life and the receipts to prove it. But I wonder why, and I am curious about all of us because we're kind of the paid clergy. Even though we know that to be true, and probably the most true of all things, even more than the air we breathe, why do we still choose not to set the Lord always before us? Why do we run after the lovers less wild? Like what's going on? What do you guys do?
It's interesting because as I was listening to your message, and you started busting out numbers, 10,000 minutes and 200 minutes. And I'm paraphrasing that, but it was one of those moments that in the middle of the message, like it stopped me, and I was really convicted about it, because then I started thinking, I was like, man, what do I spend my time doing? And it's not bad things.
Hardly ever, is it?
But it's not putting him in front and pursuing him.
Right.
And at that moment, I just was like, Lord, forgive me for doing this, because for me, I can just get blinded by all the stuff that I just forget. It's not in the forefront of my mind. And the days that it is in the forefront of my mind, it's just a completely different perspective.
Yeah.
Social media, kids' activities, got to finish this thing or do that thing. Like, none of them are necessarily bad, but they're not the best.
They're not the best. That's exactly right.
So for me, to answer your question, I think for me, it's maybe even darker than that. Like I don't even know that it's about forgetting sometimes, or it's really about control.
Yeah.
It's and which at its root just comes down to a lack of trust. You know, and it's like, hey, I don't really trust God that you've got this, and so
I believe you're enough.
I'm going to chase after this because that looks like something I can hold on to, or something that might get me where I feel like I should be. And in the end, it just creates more sorrow, more heartache. But
that's right.
But yet I do it anyway.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, I think it comes back to pride. Like the whole idea of like, for me, it's like I got this next thing to do.
Right.
So we live in this environment and a culture that says I got to do the next thing. I got to take care of the next thing. And so it's just you begin to depend solely on your ability to accomplish the very next thing
Yeah.
without ever pausing to say, what I'm doing matters,
Yep.
glorifies God. I'm reminded of like Brother Lawrence wrote, Practicing the Presence of God. Like just that whole idea for him, it became this practice of stopping before any task and saying, God has placed this before me
Yep.
for his glory.
Yep.
So let me do it for his glory. And then on the back end, to be thankful of God, you allowed me to do that. And so that just that practice, and I think we're just so driven by what we have to do. And so in it, not purposely, but we just start depending on ourselves
Yep.
to get the next thing done.
Yeah.
And really that's an issue of pride to say, this is really all about me, rather than, hey, God, you've actually, not only have you given me this life, but you've given me this very task before me. To your point, he's written out all the days. So I get to do this very next thing because of who he is.
Yeah.
And so I think I think we fail to pause and remember.
Yeah.
And so
Isn't it wild that we know those things, but we still not only fail to do them, but we choose not to do them often? And there's a little bit of comfort in this next thing I'm going to say, but like Romans 7, Paul writes, I know the things that I should be doing, and I don't do them. And the things that I shouldn't be doing, I always find myself doing them. And, his conclusion is, who can save this wicked wretch of a man that I am? And, of course, it's praise be to God through Christ Jesus, who is our Lord. And I'm certainly thankful for that, and that is the sentiment at hand. But I am curious, so in our lives, and I think true for anybody listening to this, like our sin nature, if you ever wanted to know how deep it runs deeper than any religion ability that you carry. So you can be shown by the Spirit of God miraculously, because I think anytime the Spirit of God speaks or teaches or illuminates, it is a miraculous thing. You can see it, you can see the miraculous and still choose to say, nah, I got a better way. That's crazy. We wouldn't say that in real life, but we do that in real life every single day. Because we know what is true, but we still choose not only to not do it, but it is the rebellion against it. I still have a better way. I think I can do it faster. That fruit, I know you promised that fruit, but God, look at that fruit. That fruit, I can get that fruit right now. Just watch. God bless what I'm about to do. And we'll start using language where I pull that fruit. Oh, this is good. God, we're like, well, why didn't it taste like I wanted it? Well, because that's not the fruit for you. But we chose that path. It's the craziest thing.
I think even oftentimes to follow that train of thought on out, even the good things that we do and then we experience good still pales. Like oftentimes we will thank God for the blessing, and I think this whole idea that David lays before us there is to keep the Lord ever before us, right? I think even sometimes the things that we think are keeping the Lord before us are very trite.
Yeah, that's right.
And so when I truly take the pause to think about God's word, God's truth, who Jesus is, it takes me back to, and I think this line, I have a beautiful inheritance. Why? Because Christ lived a life that I could not live. To that point, I'm going to do the things that I don't want to do, the things I don't want to do, those are the things I'm going to do. Christ has accomplished that life for me. He has paid the sacrifice that I could not pay. He conquered what I could not conquer.
Right.
And he claimed what I could not claim, the inheritance. And even I think in celebrating the blessings of God, we fall short to get back to that core thing, to go, if God does nothing else good for me, he's done enough. He's done enough.
That's right.
And I think that's one of the things is like we fail to get back to what's core, and that's who Christ is and what he's done, what he's accomplished for us, not because of who we are or what we're capable of. So
how do you guys practically set the Lord before you?
word, like I think the word is just to spend time in the word, opening up our. One shout out to our your Bible reading plan. There's another great resource that we've put in front of you, and that's the Sing one as well. I think are great ways to not just do something, but be reminded of who God is, be reminded of His truth, I think that's so important because once again, I go back to the feelings versus the truth.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm not seeking this truth, then I have no truth or standard to measure my feelings against. Right.
That's right. They just run rampant.
And so I think this is key.
Yeah.
Do you ever find yourselves thinking, "Oh, hello, how you doing?"
Your alarm's off.
There it
It's
is.
that time.
I got to
Josh.
send an email after we get done in 15 minutes. Thank you for that. Do you find that being a minister sometimes makes it harder than it used to be? What I mean by that is, I remember when I was in college, if I look back on a time in my life that was most joyful in the Word, where every day, and I would carry my Bible with me everywhere I went. I would sit at lunch, like I would before practice, after a weightlifting session, as I sat in the ice tub, like whatever. I would have my Bible at all times, just reading, just soaking it in. And then I find myself now, older, many years in paid ministry, sometimes treating it like it's work. Like I will read my Bible during work hours. I will write sermons or write papers during work hours. I'll think on the deep things of the Lord during work hours. But when I get home, when I'm doing the extracurriculars, when I'm doing life, I don't, because that's work for me. And I set that aside. Man, I've struggled with that my whole ministry life and still find it a struggle today.
I don't know, because people who are listening to this who are not
Ministers.
paid clergy,
Yeah.
may find this really strange.
Sacrilege.
No, but I mean, like
Let's have-
I often
join us for the
think,
pre-podcast. You'll know what sacrilege is. Keep going. Sorry.
Well, I mean, let's just say, I'll start by saying, I mean, I've been in full-time ministry since I was in my early 20s or mid 20s.
You're 27.
All right.
I'm
Very good.
53-ish.
Yeah.
So, needless to say, it's been a long time. So, but I think back often, and I think, I actually in many ways felt like I was more on the front lines when I was in college working a retail job. I don't know. It's interesting because, I mean, you hear about like the persecuted church.
Right.
The church always thrives under persecution.
Yep.
You
That's when it grows the
and
most.
here we are in, the United States, and for the most part, we're pretty cush, and it's I almost feel a little bit like that. Like when I was in a secular job, like I felt like I had to be much more grounded,
Right.
because I was faced with, persecution, but I was surrounded by unbelievers all the time.
That's right.
And so, like, it was, for me, it felt much more, there were constant reminders that I've got to be mindful of the presence of the Lord, in my life. I got to lean on Him for, just wisdom as I communicate with this person or face this sort of, differing perspective or viewpoint. And, in vocational ministry, like, we find ourselves surrounded by, I'm surrounded by you guys all the time, So it's, I don't know, it's just more easy to become, I guess, a little more
Comfortable,
numb to it.
I think
you know?
we get lulled to sleep a little bit, or at least for me. I like doing things that are outside of church, whether it's like going to the gym or working, and volunteering or something like that. Because I find when I'm in those spots where I'm just the dad or the guy,
Yep.
and I'm not
Yep.
the pastor,
Right.
I'm more vigilant. Like I'm just paying attention to things more, and I'm looking to see, like, God, where are you working in this situation,
that's
or
right.
where does this conversation lend to be able to have that conversation about, hey, what's God doing in your life, or maybe it's they open up and you can begin to talk to them. And I think sometimes I treat Scripture, I treat the things of the Lord when I'm in the work setting as just commodities to like move around, which is very convicting. Like at the end of the day, like I used to do my quiet time. I'd come here and do it because it was after all the kids were gone or whatever. And then I found that I was using, like, it became work.
Yeah. You read it.
And so I was like, I can't do this. So like I have my Bible at home, and it's the thing that I grab.
Yep.
I'd love to say I grab it every day, but I don't.
Right.
But I find that there's a richness to it when I'm sitting there in my dining room reading it than when I'm sitting in my office, you know, just because location, the mental focus of it.
Yeah, I totally get that.
So there was this little by no means do I get this right all the time, but I had a great pastor growing up that his line was learn to teach from the overflow. And so oftentimes, like if I have a chance to teach, like I said, I don't get this right most of the time, but when I do remember, I think it does something different. It becomes something different. And it's when I'm going to study a passage, I want to get my heart and mind around what does that mean for me? Not just to get the information out there, but what does it mean for me? And if I can start there, I believe we can have fruit from our labor, right? Where it's not just the job. It is what God's called us to do, and we get to live in it and allow it to affect us, and then we are able to communicate out of that. And I think that's quiet time, those kinds of things. But I do also find there's moments that it's just like, hey, I got to teach this, and I'm not sure I have my heart around it.
That's right.
Right. But there's other moments that it's like, oh God, this is doing something in me. This is changing me. This is compelling me, and that changes things. And I think at least me, I tend to ebb and flow out of those seasons. But the most fruitful moments are those that where your work becomes your delight.
That's right.
And so, but I think it's something we have to guard against. Like, how do we take that posture every time that we have to teach to go, Lord, what are you trying to teach me first?
That's exactly right.
Before I teach this to somebody else. And I think that changes things a little bit.
Even with the tension that I have of feeling like, you know, a lot of times the scripture is a part of work, or at least it's just a tool for the trade. There are certain things that I do. So I asked the question a while ago, what is it that we do to set the Lord before me? And so I know that's true of me, that the Bible oftentimes is, Michael, to your word, it is something that if I'm reading it even for my own heart, 2 seconds in, how can I teach this? What story goes along with this to communicate? How can I illustrate this next time I teach this? So I know that's true about me. So I found something, and Fletcher, Jay Fletcher, mentioned this, I guess about a year and a half ago, something that one of his ministry friends or maybe a former pastor would say to him, always be interruptible. And where we are at Broadmoor, if anything, we are scheduled. We have a schedule that wakes us up, and a schedule that puts us asleep, and a schedule that guides every meeting of our day, and that email reminder that just came on so I could stay on schedule to send the email as soon as I get done out here. Like, you saw it in real time. And I think Jay's wisdom is something that I've continued to try to practice, is to go places and exist in moments that I can be interruptible. And when in the interruptions, I'm trusting that God is going to do something. Like no interruption for me. And this is my goal. Sometimes I'm like, Lord, what, really? But my goal is to believe that every interruption is a predestined moment for me to engage somebody, not in a work-related way, but in a kingdom-advancing opportunity. And that's been great. So when I go to the gym, or when I go to the grocery store, or when I go to to one of the ball, like this evening, go to the ball field, we generally do try to go a little bit early and to have some margin to stay a little bit late, to walk around just to see if somebody's going to engage. And for me, I find, now that I'm not prescribing this is descriptive, not prescriptive, okay? But for me, like, I find joy in realizing I'm connected to the Spirit's leading in those moments. Because sometimes if I just open my daily Bible reading plan and I'm in, John 14 this week, and I'm like, okay, well, I read that. Lord, where are you? That's harder for me to see the Lord at work in John 14 just in my 10 minutes in the morning time or 10 minutes in the evening time than if I am sitting at the playground watching Lydia climb the monkey bars like she shouldn't do because she's going to break her arm again. But then somebody come up and say, hey, Pastor, I got a question for you. I hate to bother you with it. Please bother me with it, because that's the good stuff. When I sit in my office and I'm sitting there for hours just, oh man, reading this commentary for this commentary, I love it. It is a joy. That's the good stuff. Whenever I can have real one-on-one interactions and saying, God, I knew it. I came here and you sent somebody. Or if I need to talk to somebody, I'm like, hey, can I ask you a question? Like, help me understand that. That's the good stuff for me. It's a little bit unorthodox. again, not prescribing that for you, but descriptively for me, that's what I've done in the most recent that I find the most joy out of, seeing the Lord at work in my life,
That's
putting
great.
Him before me.
I think
great.
that takes. I mean, you have such a knowledge of this because you've committed your life to the knowledge, and those moments are the application. And I think sometimes the Lord, He wants us to balance some
That's
of that
right.
in our life.
That's good.
And,
Good word.
You know,
Yeah.
maybe sometimes we're a little too heavy on the application, and we find ourselves kind of running dry.
Right?
And then other times we're really heavy on this, and we need some
drowning.
application, and it helps
Yep.
kind of level that out.
Yeah, thank you for that.
So we got a few more minutes, but just a few. We've been talking about a lot about sort of the discipline, I guess, of setting the Lord before us, and one of the things that you mentioned and made a point of in your message was that the people that we surround ourselves with can either bring life, or I think the way you put it was they either bring us life or sorrow. And I think, as we talk about how we stay grounded and how we keep setting the Lord before us, I think, the community that we surround ourselves with also has a lot to do with that. And I think, we talk about the importance a lot here of groups and all that, but it's not for the sake of, we're just trying to involve people in something. I mean, it's important. Like we have to surround ourselves with people that are going to pull us in the right direction, or help bring correction, or refocus us, redirect us. I just heard from someone this week who was talking. They were just sharing that a family member who has been a faithful Christian believer for years has now started hanging around some people that are not,
Right.
and that it was kind of lamenting the effect that they see it having on their life, and it's just a great reminder that the people that we choose to bring into our lives, especially in our close circles, they're going to have an impact.
Yeah.
You become what you behold. Like that is a truth that goes to the content that you consume, also to the people that you tie yourself to. And that's true even in our church. Like, our church is huge. And you can be in some groups that would have let's use a fun word, proclivity to this thing or proclivity to these things. And you're going to find yourself, man, I kind of like those things now too. Like, oh, wait, you're into CrossFit. I'm going to CrossFit. Oh, you're into knitting. I'm going to be into the knitting thing. That's great. Like, find what you think. Like, I think before you jump into those groups, right? So decide who you are. Like, I feel like I'm talking to my son getting ready to go to college. Before you go and join a fraternity, before you go to a religious organization, you've got to know who you are. Because if you don't, they're going to tell you who you need to be. And at the end of that journey, you may not like who you become. And so it's important for you to know who you are in your relationship with Christ, and then tie yourself to people appropriately. That's true of romantic relationships and non-romantic relationships. And so as you are here at Broadmoor, to Mike's point, we don't preach community, we don't preach groups just because it's what you should do, or at least that's just, we're trying to get some KPIs up. Although we are, we want to see those things rise because we were hoping to measure things, but because it is literally life. You were created for community, and this world is going to offer you something. And if you tie it to the wrong thing, brother, sister, it's going to be rough.
And I think it's also worth saying that there can be an imbalance in that too, because I think I think there's a danger in isolating ourselves as a Christian commune, and there being no relationships outside of that,
Right.
where we never have the opportunities to talk with someone in the park, or when you're on the go somewhere in the grocery store, because we're never cultivating those relationships.
Well,
So-
it comes back to, I think it comes back to balance. I mean, God is a God of order. We see it in nature. We see it in seasons. And when you end up teetering too far into a community where you're just insulating yourself and somewhat isolating yourself from what God's called us to do is to go and share, then you're out of balance.
That's right.
The flip of that is if you if you like a teenage boy tend to pull the whole like, well, I'm out there and I'm witnessing to them, and you become that too.
That's
So
exactly
you
right.
have to balance
That's right.
Yeah.
both sides of that. I think that's the way that God gave it to us in Scripture too. You know,
Yep.
So good.
And last plug for discipleship. I think the best way to go about that is to apprentice under somebody who's further down the road than you, because you can, like our kids sometimes want to do. They want to figure it out, right? So I hear my son say that all the time. Dad, I'll just figure it out. Like when he says that, I know what that means. That means you are about to fail hard. And sure, that is a learning opportunity to fail hard. If you're
that's
not,
a way to fail.
we,
That's a way to
we
learn.
say all the time, if you're not failing, you're not trying, right? So, but still, like in things like this and in things in life, if you want to be successful, I don't think just figuring it out is the best approach. I think apprenticeship, which is discipleship, is the best way, where you find, if you're a man, I believe that you need other men who are older than you in a stage of life that you desire to be like. Because again, you're going to become who you hang out with. So if I'm 43, I need some 63-year-old men, father figures who are going to father me and invite me along on the way to allow me to fail in some areas, but also to say, don't step there. I step there, it's not good. And I can say, thank you for telling me that. And you can just follow along with them. And hopefully by then, you are now inviting somebody who is 23 in to follow you. And so now we have this group of people going on this path of life that leads us to the promised land, which of course is the Pilgrim's Progress. So go read it. It's great.
All right, so we're out of time, but I just realized that we didn't talk about one thing that
boy.
if I don't bring it up, I have a life group that's going to be really upset because they specifically asked for this. So there is in this chapter, depending on the translation or the original language that you read, where it uses the word heart, it's actually originally kidneys. Yes?
Yes, that
All
is
right,
true.
So let's
Those
talk
are two
about
different organs.
Why? Why
They do
the
different
kidneys?
things.
Yeah, so verse 9, therefore my heart is glad and my whole being rejoices. My flesh also dwells secure. So original translated, my kidneys.
My kidneys are glad.
My kidneys are glad because kidneys in the central part of your body. So if you were to take you apart, your kidneys kind of live right in the midsection, right in the core, and that was the assumption in this time and space that they believe that's where emotion came from. So not the brain or not the heart or not the mind. We would say the mind or the heart for us today, and certainly not the beating organ. So when we say heart, we're still using a different language because we're not talking about the beating organ in our chest. We're talking about the
our
place
core.
that holds
Yeah.
the essence of who we are, essentially the house for our soul, right? So we would kind of bring those two together. So for them, they just believed that it was your kidneys. Now, it doesn't have the same ring to it, right? So for us,
Not
it
in
was
our
like,
day and age,
therefore
but-
my
My
kidneys are
kidneys.
glad. And some of you with kidney stones, you were like, dude, I would love for my kidneys to be glad. Like that would be an encouragement to you. And so sometimes, right? So as translation happens, we need to understand that just because it's not translated the same way, doesn't mean that the power is lost on it. And there's some other things, like if you are a student of the Bible, you know that some of the translation that we know and love today are not the translations that were originally given. And some of it's fun, like kidneys for heart. But some of it, others are pretty serious that you may find some exception with. So let's do a hot take real quick. I know we're out of time. So Jesus, the name that is above all names, Jesus was never the name. It was Joshua.
Yeah.
Joshua is his name. Yeshua.
Yeshua.
Right? So Joshua is the Hebrew name that if
saves.
he's at his house and Mary is calling him, she is not saying, Jesus, where are you? It is Joshua. Where are you? Yeshua, where are you? And so again, I know it doesn't have the same ring to it, but even Joshua is our God saves, right? So there's this idea, and then you get to James, right? And James isn't James.
It's an English name.
It's an English name. And so for us, like there are different things.
Thank you, King James.
Yeah.
Jacob.
Yeah. So you have Jacob, which is, again, it doesn't have the name or the same ring to it. So I don't think the editors, as they're going back to say, this is going to be the true translation. We're changing Jesus to Joshua, and we're changing James to Jacob, and we're changing heart to kidneys. Let's go get them. I think it's fine where it is because it it allows us to understand the essence of what God is speaking to, and understanding that Jesus is the name that is above all names, because it's not about the name. It's about the essence of the person. And without getting into it, we talked about it in our 10 Commandments series, when it talks about we will not take the name of our Lord God in vain. That has nothing to do with saying God and then some expletive behind it, as if that's his name. His name is his character.
Yeah.
And so if we are going to uphold his character, we are going to do that in a way that brings him honor, not in a way that brings him dishonor. That's what the command is advocating against. Don't carry the name, the character of God in a terrible way that's going to make him look bad.
Yeah.
In the same way that Jesus' character is so much more than Jesus. It is hope. It is joy. It is life. It is truly the name that makes demons run. It is truly the name that brings light into dark places, but it has nothing to do with our English translation, Jesus. So just know that as we follow Jesus.
Well, I think you just rocked a bunch of people's worlds.
Let's rock it, baby.
And what I heard
Join
in
us
that
next
was
week.
Josh said it's okay to use expletives. So
No, Mark Evans, I did not say that.
I just can't wait to hear the songs about Joshua on Sunday. It's
I'm
gonna
ready.
be, it's going to be great.
Joshua,
there's just something about that. All right. Hey,
Sorry.
It's we've gone over, but hey, it was a great conversation.
It was great.
Hey, Chase, anything that we need to know?
Two things, Mike.
Thank you, Chase.
I'm here today. First thing, don't forget packet pickups going on for Wow Week right now. Come up to the second floor on the Faith Building. If you don't know which building that is, it's the north one. And come find Melody.
Where's north?
Yeah. If you don't know your directions,
It's the one with the giant white cross?
What is the true north?
I don't know what the true north is of the building.
Jesus is.
Joshua.
Hey, to add on to that, hey, you have to have a packet for drop off at Wow Week. So make sure you come
All
by
of your
and grab
cards
those. Yes.
that allow your
That's right.
child to come
That's it.
into this building on the west side. No,
Which is
east
the
side.
best
East
side.
side.
Oh man.
I'm sorry.
let's
on first?
just stop it. Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
gonna. Yeah.
So you're
What
saying
was-
we have
what
to
was
have
the
Jacob
second
come first,
thing,
is what you're
Chase?
telling me.
What's
Yeah.
the second thing?
Memorial Day is next Monday. So what that means is there's no life groups on Sunday.
That's correct.
And also don't come to the church on Monday either if you have to drop something off.
the church
you
offices
won't
will
get
be
in.
closed.
So
Yeah,
don't
also
pick up my packet on Monday, is what you're telling me.
Yes.
impossible to do that.
Thank you.
Michael.
I'm here for you, Chase.
All right, that's all I got.
Thank you, Chase. All right. Well, guys, great conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Forward to the
Love
next
you
one.
guys.
Love you guys.
Love you too.